If you go to networking events, one of the most important things to do is to quickly follow up with leads that you get from these events. However, sometimes you can forget to upload contact information, or it just takes extra time because it's not a high priority for you. That's why I built a AI automation that allows me to just take a simple picture after an event is done, forward that over to ChatGPT, and then put that information into my database. So if you're looking to automate more of your sales pipeline, then you've come to the right place. Let's get to it. Hey, how's it going? This is Eric with Solve Cycle Solutions. If you're new here, I help save people time by implementing AI and automation-based solutions to save them time and so they can focus on what they love instead. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down a new automation that I just tested out for the first time the other day at a networking event, where I was able to take a photo of the business cards that I got and then put that into ChatGPT, where it then uses Make to put all that information into my Google Contacts and then eventually SmartSuite. So if you want to follow along, great. There's some links in the description of this video. I'm going to be using this initially to break down some bigger concepts with planning automation projects for large scale systems. And from there, I'm going to be dialing in onto this particular process, but I will be making more videos in the future about the different aspects of my sales pipeline. Let's hop into my screen, and you'll see here that this is a very small thing to look at just on the video. I want to dial in on this a little bit, but this is an outline that I built in this tool called Miro. Miro allows you to do a lot of mapping and planning so you can see how things work. This is really useful for building larger scale systems inside of no-code or automated solutions. So you'll see that there's a lot of different color codes and shapes here, and I'm not going through this entire process here. That's a whole other 2-hour video, probably walking through a lot of it. But the main thing that I want to show you here is that I am trying to keep track of where people are being brought into my sales pipeline and categorizing whether there's someone that's a cold lead or a warm lead. So I have this here for where I have to manually enter people's contact information through, whether it be through networking events or through referrals. And you'll see a little farther up that I have more warm leads, where these are people that book calls with me through YouTube or through LinkedIn. And so they know what I do and know more about how I can help them. But the blue cold leads, I have to do a little bit more warming up with this. So sometimes these types of leads require a little more quickness or quick turnaround to be following up, making sure that I'm in their inbox and make sure I don't lose the momentum from people that were interested in connecting with me in person. So one of the things that I've found recently is that I take business cards, but then it takes a while for me to it's a time suck for me to manually load all this information. So I had an idea before going to a networking event the other day and realized I can probably streamline all this if ChatGPT can just analyze the image. So that's what I'm going to break down here. And this is going to be a little bit more of just a walkthrough and showcasing some of the more technical things that I had some issues with that you may need to foresee when putting all this information together. So really, there's only a couple of things that you need for this particular build. That would be using make.com, your CRM contacts, or however you want to import this information. And depending, in my case, I'm using SmartSuite to track events that I go to as well. So if you have something to set up where you can upload these photos of business cards, then that's probably going to be the best option for you as well. And of course, you also need ChatGPT, but I'll walk through this process in just a moment. So inside of my SmartSuite database, this is my actual networking events table. This is where I will put in events that I'm interested in attending that are near me. Allows me to put notes, addresses, anything that I want here. You'll see that if I open up this record, this is for an actual event called Networking on the Rocks. This was an older example that I recorded a while ago, but figured it would be good to use in this example. You'll see that I can put notes here, and I can put a lot of different information, so I can categorize what types of events I'm looking for. And from there, I can determine if this is something I want to put on my calendar, if it's just not going to work this time around. And then also I've added when I'm at an event or when I've attended an event and also unable to attend an event that I was interested in. So what I have done is I've set up a specific card section here where I can just take pictures from my phone and then manually upload that into a business card file here in SmartSuite. So what I've done in this particular instance, instead of sharing people's business cards on this video, I just went into Canva and I made a couple of fake business cards in an image that I can just quickly upload for the sake of this video. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to map this over into the business cards here, have that loaded so that we're almost ready to go here. Once I am ready to start this automation, I'm going to use kind of my favorite method of using a mail hook, where I'm going to mark this as attended, and that's going to fire off the automation from SmartSuite and send it over to Make, where we'll go to our next step. So this is the automation that I built inside of Make, and this is a live model that I'm just going to use and try and show some of the main points where you may need help getting this set up. So as per normal with a lot of my videos, I think most people see now is that we have this mail hook that pulls the exact record where we're looking for inside of SmartSuite. So if I just paste this, the exact title of the event, which is Networking on the Rocks, and it also has the attendance date, I'm just going to hit OK. And it's going to pull this up. And we can also just double check here while we're testing this that the business card is pulling through where it has the file URL and the file name. So we're good there, and we know that information is coming through. What I've gone ahead and set up first is an iterator. For those of you that aren't familiar with iterators, this breaks down what are called arrays, which are basically large, multiple groups of data that are all categorized into one, for lack of a better word, group. So these are basically, this is confirming that if, say, I get multiple pictures or have too many business cards to fit into one particular photo, it may be that the fonts become too small for the AI to read. I'm setting this up so that just in case, I can attach multiple photos as needed and then migrate all of that data and separate this into multiple processes. Once we have that information extracted, you'll see that with ChatGPT, there is a specific module here. Let me actually pull this up over here. There is a module designed to analyze images. So it is emphasizing using AI vision. So this allows us to import the exact information we're looking for, and then we can put the prompt in. So in this case, I've put a pretty lengthy ChatGPT prompt, which I'm happy to put in the text of this or a comment section of this video, where I'm clarifying that I've been to this specific networking event. I have a photo of all the business cards I got. Please extract the data in this particular format. So you'll see that I put that as name, email, phone number, business title, business name, and website. I've also had to emphasize a couple of things where it needs to say do this for all the pictures, but also each particular output needs to have at least a name, an email, and a phone number. Any fields that are not missing or that are missing certain values can be excluded, but we need to make sure that we just mark them as missing value. So this is from an earlier test that I set up here. Let me see if I can zoom this in a little bit more. But you'll see that the output of how everything is set up is so that everything is all in one line that is separated by commas for each point of data that I need from this business card. So this person, Mariana Anderson, hello, their email is here, their phone number, business title, and website. All of that is set, our business title, business name, and business site. I then have this divider set up So this marks that a new person has come through, and this is all their information. So all of this info is being put into one long string with the ability to break it down a little bit further, which is going to be useful when we start pulling this information out and we need to map specific values from these individual contacts. Now, once you have something come through, this is also something I found out after testing this at the event, that sometimes the images that you take may be either too blurry or, again, the data may be too small to see if you have too much information in. So you do need to have a bit of a fail-safe here as well with the ChatGPT results. And that is why I've also added at the end to say, if you cannot analyze a photo at all, just write not readable. And this will then map to a fail-safe that notifies me in Slack that this didn't work properly and I may need to manually input this or retake the photo. So once that is all set up and we have that long string of information, we need to use another iterator to break this information apart. But how the information is set up, it is just one long string. We can use these different contacts and their information. We can break these down into arrays inside of this iterator command by using the split function here. We just have to map that we're going to be breaking down people's information from these individual lines, or these divider lines that have set up. The contact bubble that I pulled up that showed those 3 different individuals that are compiled into one long string, they're going to be broken up into 3 different bundles of information, or these arrays, thanks to that split function inside the iterator. It allows us to separate and pull the information that we want, but we still need to map specific variables from that list of people. So let's look at how we can organize all this contact information together so that it can properly be mapped into the same function. So once we have these 3 pieces of information that we'll be going through, we have this tool called set multiple variables. This allows us to break down multiple pieces of information from one of these contact points and set specific variables so that we know that this is a person's name, this is a person's email, and we can map that data if it is consistent. That's also very important why I formatted the ChatGPT prompt the exact way that I did, because it allows me to map consistently every time that someone's name will be the first line in the item, the email will be the second, and so forth. But also, if something is missing, when we put that missing value, it's not going to affect the line at all, so that we can, again, consistently map the exact values that we're looking for. So to do this, we do have to take the results of the second iterator that we broke everything out of here. So that's going to stay here. We're going to add a split function again to break down all these different values into, again, an array. But we're going to have this separated by the comma instead of that divider. But then also we have this function called get, which allows us to map specific values from an array. So in this case, we are getting the first bundle inside of the array, which will always be the name. And then we'll apply this to the same functions here for email, for phone, but we're going to change the number going in increasing order. So again, name is 1, value is for email is 2, the variable is going to be 3 for phones, and then business title is 4, business name is 5, and then website is 6. Now, one last thing to note here is that I actually was starting to have some issues when I was importing someone's data because ChatGPT didn't fully format this the exact way that I wanted. So I am going to be watching this and seeing if there's anything else that pops up. But basically, we do need to add, on top of the get and the split functions, we need to replace any spaces that may show up in this email section, because I actually had someone's email was broken up into 2 separate words and the system would not recognize that down the line. So it's better to just go ahead and nip this in the bud here so that we don't have to worry about that. but this is done by adding the space, which you do have to use the space function under the text here, because if you try and just hit a space bar, it's going to just recognize this as a blank space. And then to remove the space and just make sure that everything is conjoined together, you just have to put 2 quotation marks, which will indicate that everything is going to be just one, or the space is going to be removed. So it's a little bit annoying having to do that, but the fact that just having this little fix to import all my contacts did save me a lot more time, and I'm very happy with that. Now, the last part of this process is that we have to break down the router and the filter one more time, because if we don't have an email or a phone number, then we're going to have a problem trying to get information into Google Contacts. I'm setting this up to import information into Google Contacts. I have a separate automation that I'll show briefly, where once a day my Google, or searches my Google Contacts for new people and then puts that information into SmartSuite. So this is where I've decided to draw the line and end my automation, but you could absolutely have this just port into your CRM or have it go somewhere else. I had to set up a filter though, because again, going back to where that email wasn't fitting in, if the email value is missing or it's listed as missing value, it's not going to work here. It needs to have a legitimate email address to go inside Google Contacts. So I have set up a Slack notification if something does require manual entry. Most of the time, this probably isn't going to be as big a deal, but for now, I'd rather have this fail-safe in so I can go in and check this rather than having to assume everything is good. Now that we have this process all set up, or you see how this works and you can build this yourself, from here, I'm just going to exit out of the build mode where we can then watch this import data live. So I'm going to head back over to SmartSuite, and I'm going to hit attended as the status, again, marking this as complete. And then from there, I'm going to hit save. Now, this already has the image set up, so it's going to take a minute to pull this information out, and then ChatGPT is going to analyze it. It's starting to run. Give it a minute. You'll see that ChatGPT is taking a minute, but then it's going to go in and put 3 contacts here. So again, going back to the initial image that I showed you, these are the 3 contacts that I put into ChatGPT from that initially attached business or attached from the event. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this up in a separate screen, and then from there, I'm going to analyze I'm going to pull up my Google Contacts. I'm going to search for these names in here. So the first person that pulls up is going to be this Marianne Anderson, where you'll see that, again, if I compare it with the card here, it has the hello at really great sites. It puts in the phone number is 123-456-7890. And then it has her title and company name all set up here. So this is great. The next person I'm going to pull up is Morgan Maxwell. And you'll see here that if I click this, it's going to pull this up. Morgan's info is almost exactly the same here. Hello at really great sites, 123-456-7890. And then the last person that we have is Kimberly Nguyen, who, again, has all the same information, but you see all this information is mapped, but this one doesn't actually show her business name, so it is listed as missing value, because in this Canvas setup I had, the business name was actually on the back of the card, not on the front with this person's contact information. So this is just a minor thing that I know that I can go in and update this, but at the moment, that's not as big a deal for me for having the company name missing if they're just a cold lead, or if they're cold leads. So I'm going to have to work things up with them. I'll update that information later as we continue to go along in the process. So that's it. That is how I now, after spending just an hour or so building this whole process out, can save myself so much time and be quicker on turnaround for trying to reach out to people interested in working with me. So I hope you got a ton of value out of this, and that you see a lot of potential of how you could start using AI and automation to be streamlining your services to make things work even faster for you. If you want help getting this exact process built, or if you're struggling to get some automations optimized for yourself, then I'd love to invite you to a free 30-minute consultation to see how quickly we can get this built or to get you started on your no-code automation journey. So feel free to scan the QR code floating around my head or head to the link in the description, which is solvecyclesolutions.com/30-minutes, and see how much time we can save you. Thank you so much for watching. And if you found this really useful and want to see more content like this, consider subscribing to the channel and let me know in the comments if you have any questions or if you have anything that you're challenged with and want to see how that can be streamlined here. But that's all I have to say on this topic. Thank you so much, and this is where I stop.